5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. The present matter pertains to an application filed under the writ jurisdiction of this court challenging the action of the respondent authority in issuing a notice of demand for payment of arrears of property tax, which the petitioner contends is both illegal and unjustified. The petitioner asserts that the demand notice issued is based on incorrect calculations and is, therefore, liable to be quashed. The petitioner claims that the property in question has been in his possession for several years, and at no point has there been a change in the circumstances that would justify the increase in the assessed value of the property. It is contended that the respondent authority has failed to properly assess the value of the property in accordance with the relevant provisions of law, and the demand for property tax is therefore not only arbitrary but also violative of the principles of fairness and transparency. The petitioner has further argued that the respondent authority has not provided any adequate justification for the increase in the assessed value, nor has it provided an opportunity for the petitioner to challenge the same in a meaningful manner. The demand notice, as per the petitioner, is not accompanied by any detailed explanation or supporting documents that would show how the assessment was made. This failure, according to the petitioner, amounts to a denial of the right to due process as guaranteed under the Constitution. The respondent authority, on the other hand, has filed a reply stating that the demand was raised in accordance with the relevant provisions of the municipal laws governing the assessment and collection of property tax. It is further stated by the respondent that the assessment was based on the market value of the property as determined by the prevailing market rates, and that the petitioner's objections are without merit. The respondent further asserts that the petitioner has failed to follow the statutory procedure to challenge the assessment before the appropriate forum, and that the writ petition is, therefore, not maintainable. The learned counsel for the petitioner submits that the statutory procedure cited by the respondent does not bar the exercise of the writ jurisdiction of this court, particularly in cases where the actions of the respondent authority are manifestly illegal or in violation of the petitioner's fundamental rights. It is argued that the respondent authority has acted beyond its jurisdiction by issuing the impugned notice without providing the petitioner with an opportunity to be heard. The counsel further contends that the petitioner has been prejudiced by the arbitrary increase in property tax, which is not based on any proper assessment. It is further submitted that the respondent has not followed the due process of law in assessing the value of the property. The relevant provisions, according to the petitioner, require a detailed and transparent procedure, which has not been followed in this case. Additionally, the petitioner has not been informed of the criteria or methodology used in arriving at the assessed value, which further supports the argument that the demand is arbitrary and unjust. The learned counsel for the respondent, on the other hand, contends that the assessment of property tax is within the powers conferred upon the municipal authority by the governing legislation. The council submits that the authority is required to assess the property based on the market value, and the petitioner has not provided any evidence to substantiate the claim that the assessment was incorrect. It is further argued that the petitioner had an adequate opportunity to challenge the assessment before the concerned authority but chose to bypass that remedy and approach this court directly. The respondent also asserts that the writ petition is premature, as the petitioner has not exhausted the available statutory remedies, and the jurisdiction of this court should not be invoked in such matters. The respondent relies on judicial precedents that emphasize the exhaustion of alternative remedies before seeking relief under Article of the Constitution of India. After hearing the parties and considering the arguments advanced, this court is of the view that while the writ jurisdiction can be invoked in cases where the action of the respondent authority is manifestly illegal or in violation of the law, the court must first examine whether the petitioner has availed of the statutory remedy available under the relevant municipal laws. The fact that the petitioner has bypassed the statutory procedure raises an important issue regarding the maintainability of the writ petition. However, in cases where the action of the respondent authority is ex facie arbitrary or unreasonable, this court may still exercise its jurisdiction to provide relief to the petitioner. In the present case, the petitioner has raised valid concerns regarding the transparency and legality of the assessment process. The respondent authority has failed to provide a satisfactory explanation for the increase in property tax or the methodology used in determining the market value of the property. The court is of the opinion that the principles of natural justice demand that the petitioner should have been provided with an opportunity to challenge the assessment before a competent authority. This failure on the part of the respondent to give a fair hearing to the petitioner renders the demand notice liable to be quashed. The court is further of the view that the lack of transparency in the assessment process is a serious issue, and the respondent authority must be directed to provide a detailed explanation of the criteria and methodology used in assessing the property. Accordingly, the writ petition is allowed. The notice of demand for payment of arrears of property tax issued by the respondent is hereby quashed. The respondent is directed to provide the petitioner with an opportunity to be heard and to reassess the value of the property in accordance with the relevant provisions of law, ensuring that the process is transparent and in compliance with the principles of natural justice. The petitioner shall also be provided with a detailed breakdown of the assessment and the methodology used. Stop.